Aloha and welcome to the hearing with the Senate Committee on Economic Development and Tourism. Today is Tuesday, March 3rd, 2026. This is our 1 p.m. agenda and we're in conference room 229. Hearing is being streamed live on YouTube. In the unlikely event that we must abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties, the committee will reconvene on Thursday, March 5th, 2026 at 1 p.m. in conference room 229. We have a 1-minute time limit for all testifiers. We have 8 governor's messages on this agenda. First appointee is GM 606, David Hinazumi, submitted for consideration and confirmation to the Board of Directors of Agribusiness Development Corporation for a term to expire on June 30th, 2028. First up on the testifiers, Executive Director Wendy Gady from Agri Development Corporation.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the committee. I'm Wendy Gady with Agribusiness Development Corp, and we fully support Board Member Hinazumi joining for the next 4 years. One of the perfect examples of what he brings to the party is some new technology that we're going to incorporate in terms of monitoring and security. And based on his experience in the private sector, he's brought a lot of new technology and new processes and a kind of a unique perspective in looking at risk, as well as helping us with our financials. I'm here for any questions, but we strongly support.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioka with Business Economic Development and Tourism.
Chair, thank you. Jimmy Tokioka, Director David, and on my
Thank you. Thank you. Next up, Aro Kaneshiro, Council Member for County of Kauai in support. Derek Kawakami testifying, Mayor Kawakami, County of Kauai in support. Joshua Uehara, President of the Board of Directors for Keakea Agricultural Association in support. Brian Miyamoto testifying for Hawaii Farm Bureau in opposition.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Brian Miyamoto, on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau. We'll stand on a written testimony and strong support.
Thank you. Next up, Larry Jeff Farm LLC in support. Rodney and Carol Haraguchi in support. Jerry Ornelas in support, and Megan Blazak in support. Anyone else wishing to testify on behalf of the individual? Seeing none, David, if you want to come up and say a few words.
Good afternoon, Chair DeQuay, Vice Chair Wakai, and members of the committee. My name is David Hinazumi, and I thank you for this opportunity to appear in front of this committee to answer any questions you may have. I believe I can be a positive impact for ADC and respectfully request your support.
Thank you. Members, any questions for the individual? Seeing none.
Well, yeah, I guess I do.
Okay.
Your time commitment, what kind of time commitment do you have as far as attending the meetings and so forth?
Yes, I make this a priority of mine, and I have been able to make every board meeting. Also, I've been part of the administration committee and also on a PIG as well. So I will put in the time that is needed for this very important
So this is a reappointment? I'm sorry if I'm, it's a reappointment, first on time?
Yes.
But you've been serving for the, no,
Since July of
since
last
July?
year, yes.
Okay, and you've made all the board meetings. Is there anything else that you've done as far as to keep you up to speed as to what's going on with the stadium and what's happening in the community regarding? Oh, I'm sorry.
The stadium is on that
The
side.
stadium was on that side.
Division, yeah.
I'm sorry. I got so
We
many
split that guy
things
right
on
in
my
half.
plate. Okay, sorry.
David, how aggressive you like ADC be moving forward?
Well, I view ADC as a state-owned business, and we should be as aggressive as we can to support the agricultural industry. Our purposes in terms of food production, maximizing the use of the land that we have, opportunities to acquire additional land and infrastructure. On the economic development side, in terms of the facilities, some value-added center that's already been built out, plans for additional centers to cultivate and aid all of the entrepreneurs who are trying to make a go at it. other facilities that we can build out, you know, egg cracking and others to help.
You feel there's potential if aquaculture was to fall under Agri-Development Corporation?
You know, aquaculture as well as any other, you know, type of agriculture. You know, always something that the agency should be open to look at, you know, taking on. Of course, you know, making sure that we do have the resources that we need in order to accomplish that. And if it's, you know, after our careful consideration, if it's something that you know, fits best within ADC, then yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Oh, Senator Wakai.
Just wanted to understand, like, the role you see ADC playing. A lot of us are very kind of underwhelmed by the role of DAB in promotion of agriculture. And do you see that DAB's role is more on the regulatory side, looking at viruses and pests, and the ADC should be the one that is going after procurement of lands, access to water, promotion of agricultural products, be it out of the ground or from the ocean? How do you see these two entities, yourself and DAB, coexisting and playing to their strengths?
I think pretty much exactly how you laid it out, as far as the strengths of you know, DAB, as far as you know, the research you know, of the industry that they've done. ADC, as far as the ADC being, you know, more of the business arm, development arm of, you know, of the state's agricultural industry, and being able to provide the education, you know, the support, whether it's you know, financially, facilities, you know, helping the you know, farmers and ranchers, and of course the aquaculture, you know, businesses as well.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator. Thank you, David. Next up, GM 607, submitting for consideration for Board of Directors for the Agribusiness Development Corporation, gubernatorial nominee Jason Watts, for a term to expire 6/30/2029. First up, Wendy Gady, Executive Director for Agribusiness Development Corporation.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the committee. I'm Wendy Gady, Executive Director for Agribusiness Development Corp., and we strongly support Chair Jason Watts for another 4 years. He has tried very hard to bring a new level of governance, accountability, and transparency. I'm here for any questions.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioka for Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and Member Kim. In strong support of Mr. Watts, he is now the Chair of ADC and has been doing an excellent job, and his time commitment has been stellar. He calls us and he's with us all the time on things that are happening in ADC. So we strongly support Jason and his appointment.
You must be doing a good job. You're here today. In person, no. No, you. Thank you. Next up, Director Sniffen in support. Keith Hayashi, Department of Education in support. Councilwoman Nohe Hodgins in support. Tyler Dos Santos, Council Member for City and County of Honolulu in support. Thomas Cook, Council Member from Maui County, also in support. Brian Miyamoto, Hawaii Farm Bureau, in opposition again.
Chair, Brian Miyamoto on behalf of the Hawaii Farm Bureau, we have strong concerns that his appointment is going to end in 2029. We are in strong support of this nomination.
Thank you. Thank you, Brian. Next up, Joshua Uehara, Keokea Agriculture Association, also in support. Lauren Zerbo on Zoom.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, committee members. I'm in strong support of Jason Watts being appointed, being chairman. He's actually also going to be our incoming chair for Hawaii Food Industry Association. Just a great guy with lots of knowledge and strong support. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next up, Michael Minikata for Ulupono Initiative in support. Dave Erdman, Interim President, CEO, Retail Merchants Hawaii in support. Ted Anderson in support. Denise Yamaguchi in support. Danny Kupchoi, Hawaii Carp Improvement Association in support. Mike Yosua, Imanaka Sato also in support, Me Nakahata, Maui County Farm Bureau in support. We have a lot of support on behalf of Jason Watson. It's gonna take me too long if I read it all. Ryan Toyomura also in support in person. So we have 65 people in support, only the Farm Bureau until today just cleared up in support. Is anybody else wishing to testify in support of the individual? Seeing none, Jason, will you come and say a few words, please? Thank you for being here.
Thank you, Chair. Vice Chair Bakai, Senator Kim, thank you. I do have a prepared remark if you guys are, okay, no? No?
Members, anyone, any questions? So I'll just say, you've done an outstanding job, Jason. I think the support behind you speaks volumes. All of the members have copies of your resumes and the questions that we sent out. I think you've done an exceptional job in directing ADC on where it needs to go. I just want you to continue in that capacity. And as for now, members have no questions. But
I want to ask.
oh, you haven't? Okay,
can't let him go
Senator
without
Kim, yeah, that's not like you. I thought something was wrong. You was asking questions.
So Jason, how is it working with the department?
It's, it's working. I think the hard part, I think, with DBED is there's a lot of attached agencies, I think 16 or something. But it works. The deputy director has been very supportive. He also sits on the board. So whenever we have issues that need to be addressed, he kind of bird dogs that for us. And it's helpful to have him on the board as well. And I think that, ever since the board has moved from the Department of Agriculture to DBED, it's been, the visions are more aligned on the economic development side. Like previously said, the Department of Agriculture is heavily on the regulatory side. So I think ADC has really flourished in the last few years under DBED.
Okay. Did you put him up to that? Thanks.
So Jason, if there was one priority that under ADC would want to address, what would that number one priority be?
I think for us, it would be increased land holdings. I think that we're primarily on Kauai, on Oahu, but there are companies and organizations on other islands that are looking to keep their lands in ag, and ADC can definitely help with that. But of course, we can only move as fast as you folks want us to move. And so I think one of my priorities since becoming chair is to make sure that we're in constant communication with you folks, to ensure that whatever we do in expansion is what you folks kind of are in line with, not just our ideas. But to give you kind of an idea, but you can tell us, go, no go on some of this stuff, so.
So with the thought that that's a priority of land, capturing land, what would you have to say about the consolidation or water systems being run under ADC statewide versus, we've a la carte certain areas of water systems that has fallen into disrepair? Where do you feel the state needs to be in trying to prioritize those needs of the water system so that we can make sure those properties have water so that we can prioritize agriculture?
So to answer your question, Chair, when ADC was first created in 1994, part of that creation was the Waiahole irrigation ditch, right, to preserve that and keep that water system in agriculture. ADC now has water systems on Kauai as well, in Kekaha and other places that is working on. We've also, most recently, Wendy's working on acquiring a system that DLNR actually wants to decommission. And if it were decommissioned, the farmers in that area would actually lose their water source. So ADC is working to preserve that. But I think, ADC has a very big role to play in water. And I think it's a positive one for the state because it keeps the water and the public trust together. But it also, one of our board members is the CRM deputy director. And so we can ensure that the water systems are operating under what the state wants it to be operating at. So I think it's very consistent and positive for us to do that. I think at some point, we've started talking with Wendy and the staff about taking inventory on all the water systems throughout the state to kind of give you guys a number on what that would look like for future repair and maintenance, health and safety, all those kind of things. So that's coming soon.
Thank you. Any other questions? Senator Walker? Oh, you good? Okay, thank you, Justin. Okay, moving on, GM 682, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Board of Directors of the Agribusiness Development Corporation gubernatorial nominee, Joshua Uehara, for a term expire 6/30/2030. First up, Wendy Gady with Agribusiness Development Corporation.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, member of the committee. It's Wendy Gady, ADC Executive Director, and we stand in strong support of Josh joining ADC. He has an exceptional career in creating community partnerships in Kauai that would definitely benefit the state on a statewide basis. He also has worked very closely with the military in collaboration, and he has kind of a unique skill set in terms of understanding how land and water should interact on behalf of ag. We're here for any questions.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokiyoko with Business Economic Development and Tourism.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and again, in strong support of Mr. Uehara. I've worked with him ever since he got back from the mainland from school. He's been a great asset to the west side of Kauai and shares and has a lot of knowledge in agriculture, so in very, very strong support of Josh.
Thank you. Next up, Director Sniffen on Zoom.
Not on Zoom, Chair.
In support, thank you. Next up, Mayor Kawakami, also in support from Kauai. Brian Miyamoto, again, at least you're consistent in opposition here. Are you gonna clear this record up as well?
Thank you, Chair. The Hawaii Farm Bill was done on its written testimony in strong.
Thank you. Next up, Megan Blazak, Hilo County Farm Bureau. Also in support, Alex Su, Alun Farms in support, Danny Kupchoy, Hawaii Crop Industry Improvement Association in support, Larry Jeffs Farms in support, Stephanie Iona in support, Mayor Nakahata in support, Alan Takemoto, John Gordinas, Jerry Nellis, and Michael Fay also in support. Joshua, to say a few words, please.
Good afternoon, Chair DeCoit, Vice Chair Wakai, and Senator Kim. It's an honor to be here, and I'm here to answer any questions you might have. I look forward to service on the ADC board.
Thank you. Senator Kim. Josh, what is your priority for the Agri Development Corporation?
I think my priority is to see how we can accelerate execution of the projects assigned to ADC. In my time working with ADC, I've seen the portfolio grow year over year, and many of these projects are long-term. They will take many years to properly execute, and so over time you see that portfolio growing. And so I think it's critical that the agency keep pace in its capacity to successfully execute its growing portfolio projects while that continues to happen.
So do you feel, and we've addressed a lot of different ditches and water systems. I know you've been heavily involved with the Kauai water system. If we were to consolidate all water systems and put it under ADC, do you believe that's the right place to put it? As you know, without water, land means basically nothing to us, and the movement of agriculture. What's your thoughts?
I think there's a strategic advantage to that in creating a real center of excellence and expertise in addressing those issues, because I've been involved in several different water systems, including the Kunia Water Association, which is a private system. Been involved in the Waihoʻoli Ditch system as a user of that system, as I managed the Kunia operation for one of the operations I previously managed. And what I see often is for the organizations involved, they have to kind of relearn the same issues over and over, public trust doctrine. Companies that come in from out of state don't understand water law in the state. And so having an agency that develops the ability to effectively represent agriculture and really develop that expertise in depth, I think would be beneficial.
So I wanted to follow up. Well, there's this new law coming down via the federal, and it involves required environmental impacts. What is the impact to many of these farmers that do not have the financial capability whether they're big or they're small, now being required to do that. Do you believe that ADC should take a lead, or the ask by ADC to this body should be to help fund that portion of that environmental impact?
I think there should be a strategic approach to that where you look at, for example, there are many areas of federal law that require permits for common activities that sometimes are undertaken by small operations like small farmers. And one approach that you see would be a general permit that can cover a wide geographic area. And so that allows you to structure that requirement so that an agency with the capacity, let's say EDC, if it's anointed to do that by the legislature, can actually take on that burden on behalf of the small farmers. And it would have to set up a program by which, farmers comply with the rules of a general permit like that. But that might be one, potential approach, because otherwise I don't think it would be feasible for each individual farm operation to pursue, their own, satisfaction of those regulatory requirements. It would have to be done by a regional authority of some kind.
Thank you. Perfect candidate for Director of Agriculture. Any Senator Wakai?
I agree. There's a growing appetite for more biofuels, and using agricultural land to create things that are going to help energize our transportation and electrical grid, as well as, sustainable aviation fuel. What are your views on using agricultural lands to feed the belly of a plane versus the belly of a human?
I don't think they're actually in conflict. And the reason I say that is if you look at agriculture, you look at thriving agricultural systems in, let's say, states or other countries where it's a thriving industry, there's a significant complementarity between fuel uses and food uses. So for example, I know it's not the most popular thing to see corn ethanol, for example, but setting aside its use for fuel, the silage that might be generated or the husklage that's generated out of the plant that processes the corn is used to feed cattle, right? And so you look at those complementary uses, the suppliers of ag operations, whether it's for equipment like tractors or fuel or fertilizer, the more volume they have to service on an island, the more cost effective it is for all users. And that's true whether it's, let's say, landscaping for a golf course or biofuel farm or somebody growing food. So until we're constrained on all farmland being utilized, and now we're talking about a zero-sum game, I think just increased ag activity of any kind is likely to improve the economics of the scale of ag in general in the state.
Okay, so you don't see this mutually exclusive, you see it as complementary.
Right, until we've maxed out, right? When we look at Kauai, for example, at its height, there were tens of thousands of acres in production that are fallow today. So until we've, start to reach that capacity ceiling, I don't think they're in conflict.
That's a good point, thank you.
Okay, so I gotta follow. So Josh, every year we go through drought,
Yep.
and every year water cutbacks come into play under land under cultivation for produce. And we've struggled because produce takes, like every other crop, right? It takes 5 months, depending on what you're growing. Do you believe we would still have enough water to now also irrigate energy crops versus the challenge that we've seen around the US has been higher paying under energy, which then turns that producer of food towards energy, less now picking and choosing, do we grow crop or do we grow energy? And I get the complementary behind it, but smack dab in the middle of the ocean, do we live without the food or do we live without the energy?
I think you have to look at the circumstances in each watershed and whether you are limited by the water available. In some cases, we're limited by the infrastructure of the water delivery system itself, let's say. So the effective water available might be limited more by the fact the system is in poor repair. It might have been inefficient by design to begin with. And you need enough economic activity on that system to be able to afford to upgrade it. And so kind of you have to look at, in my opinion, for each system, what is exactly the constraint here? And it may be today, with the existing infrastructure, you have to choose and prioritize because it doesn't help to say, it could be a 5-year project to double the water available by improving the system. You might have to prioritize today. In that case, you do prioritize food. But in the long term, that might be the plan to make it economically feasible to upgrade that system. You might want to plan on that additional use that might be brought by biofuels.
Thank you. Any other questions? I see none. Thank you, Joshua. Okay, moving on, sorry. Next up, GM 513, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the stadium, Gubernatorial Tracy Lester Smith for a term to expire 6/30/2021. Again, we have all of your resumes, the committee members, as well as the questions that we've sent out. First up, Michael Yadal, Executive Director for DBED Stadium Authority at Los Stadium.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim. You have our written testimony. We are in strong support of Tracy Lester Smith's appointment. She is really a nod in the exact right direction for future stadium development. We are tied to the kind of events that we can attract and the kind of amenities that we can provide. And whether it was her position at NASCAR, World Rugby 7, or even as Vice President and General Counsel of Bellator MMA, she has the right skill set to help us to market in that place. This morning, for instance, there was a wonderful article in the Star Advertiser about Max Holloway wanting to do his last fight potentially in a new filled out Aloha Stadium. And Tracy is a nod in that direction to be able to facilitate that. She's a nod in the direction of being able to say to Max and other fighters like him, please come on down, the stadium will be ready. And thank you for your potential. Thank you for considering her.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioke with Business of Economic Development and Tourism.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim. In strong support, Tracy, I haven't got to know her as much yet because she's fairly new, but I know that the board is working on many exciting things going forward, and she'll be a great asset to the team. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on behalf of the individual? Tracy, if you could please join us for a few words. I will tell you this, I had the opportunity to interview Tracy. I was very impressed with your resume, the fact that you're sitting on a board with 2 women and more men. I think that says a lot. I feel you hold your own, but please, if you say a few words.
Well, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, and Senator Kim. I'm delighted to be here with you this afternoon and to even be given the opportunity to serve the state. I have not prepared any remarks, but I remain here at your disposal for any questions at all.
Thank you. Members, any question? Senator Kim.
Welcome, Tracy. How involved have you been as far as watching the stadium and how we've going through this development and all the controversy that surrounds it?
Well, Senator, I would say this, I have been only so involved as a spectator is involved who lives here in the state. And I certainly cannot pretend to know all of the internal dynamics and challenges that the project has faced. And if I were to talk about it, I would be misspeaking. But I would say that for my part, I'm here to be as helpful as possible, to be part of an incredibly qualified board to be able to bring this to fruition. I'm extremely passionate about it, and I feel it's going to be an incredible sports project for this state and a great place that people are going to want to come play and entertain.
But as a spectator, which is the majority of the people on the island, looking at the project and reading what's in the newspapers and in the media, far as what is it that you think you can contribute as a board member in light of, being a spectator, which is most of what everybody's looking in, and being Monday quarterback. So, in that sense, just as a spectator, what do you see that we can improve, perhaps, the perception of what is going on with the stadium and how we can unify, perhaps, the community behind it?
For my part, for my background, I've been extremely fortunate to be in the position of being part of a client who is both landlord and tenant, right? Owner and someone who is leasing the property as a traveling tour. So I would hope that for me, that I would be able to contribute that background and that knowledge to be able to understand better how the types of brick and mortar facilities are run or should be run at a highest global elite level, but also to really understand how tenants think, how tours, pro series, and events that are coming to the state think about it. I think as a spectator thus far, it does seem like there have been some challenges, but I think that the more that we band together as a board and continue to push for accountability and an execution timeline, again, I would be just coming up to speed as I get on the board, but it seems to me that the things that we're trying to achieve are doable, even if aspirational. Thank you. Thank you, Senator.
Senator Wakai.
You bring a very unique set of skills and global, not just national, but global context to the stadium. And as we, get down the road of, the dotting the i's and crossing the t's on the actual brick and mortar, I mean, eventually we got to fill that brick and mortar stadium with events. And that's where your superpowers come in, right? Because nobody else on the board have the kind of context and experience in event planning nor broadcasting of events as you do. And I know you teach a class at the University of Hawaii Law School that talks about TV, streaming, just everything from intellectual property to licensing for sports. I mean, how do you think that those skill sets are going to be complementary to the days when we got a stadium? Now we got to fill that stadium with events.
Well, that's so well said, Senator, and I appreciate the kind words. I think that when you have a venue, when you have a facility, it is absolutely necessary, in my opinion, that you have to be able to commercialize and monetize it. You have to be able to see the angles of how you're going to go out and get events to come here, understanding the types of things that these events and these tours want to see, the types of services the types of activations that they will expect in a package to come in and rent the venue. By the same token, if we're to commercialize the venue and have sponsorship inventory within the venue, right, whether it's permanent or it's temporary, we have to be able to give great value to our partners. So in my experience, I would hope that I would be able to shed a little bit of light on how that process typically works, both from a venue standpoint, but also from the standpoint of a property that's looking for places to go. And what better place to sell them on than to come here? We have to build a magical place for them to come, but they will come, I believe.
And I think you have just the key skill sets that we need. I mean, those of us on this side of the table, we're struggling with just incrementally moving the stadium towards, digitized exposure on the stadium grounds, putting a naming right on top of the stadium, stuff that other municipalities don't have to kind of slog through to get to that point. But when we get to that point, I mean, it sounds like you have the ability and the vision to really help activate this place and make it a dynamic place that is a home for many people, as well as a really fantastic dynamic revenue generator for the state.
Well, I appreciate those words, Senator, and I am extremely excited about doing my part. I would never say that I have any pride in authorship of single-handedly envisioning anything. I think it's definitely part of the team that we'll be part of with the stadium staff and the executive leadership and the board, but I'm simply hoping to contribute for my background, to be able to contribute a little bit of that vision so that we can bring this to life.
Thank you. So of course, Tracy, I know I interviewed the heck out of you earlier, and I really don't have any questions. I think your credentials speak for themselves. I so look forward to working with you closer.
Thank you so much, Senator. I appreciate it.
Next up, GM 618, submitting for consideration confirmation to the stadium authority gubernatorial nominee Joel Kawachi for a term to expire 6/30/2029. First up, Mike Yadal, Executive Director of Stadium Authority.
Thank you so much again, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim. Joel provides a tremendous amount to the board itself. He has over 20 years of experience at the Department of Education. He shepherded CIP projects at Moreland High School that are exemplary. He ensures Title IX compliance. What he brings to the board, from my perspective as an executive director and someone that formerly served with him, is that DOE nexus, that DOE perspective on how we can maximize stadium usage so that it really fits what the children of Hawaii need, particularly those within our high schools statewide. And so we wholeheartedly support Joel, and can't thank you enough for considering his confirmation.
He still has to shepherd the tennis facility.
He's working on it. He's
Joel,
working on
Joel,
it.
that's going to be a question, my friend.
He's got all eyes on that. Thanks, Mike. Next up, Stephen Lee for his testifying for Stadium Authority.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim. I stand on written testimony in support.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioka, in support. That must have been his boss calling him. Next up, Kelly Jack Sir, testifying for OIA in support. Gillian Yamagata, also OIA Athletic Director in support. Kylie Oshiro in support from Honolulu High School Softball. Jonathan Kalula'au, Honolulu High School in support. Larry Quintero, Oahu Interscholastic Association in support. Lini Sueyasu for Oahu Interscholastic Association in support, as well as a bunch of others. Yeah, a lot of others. How about support for the none in opposition? Lucky number Brian Miyamoto here, but no, thank you. Anyone else wishing to testify on behalf of the individual? Joe, if you would please come and say a few words. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim. And thank you for letting me follow Tracy over there. Oh, my goodness. Okay, I do have some opening remarks if.
Yeah, go right ahead.
Mahalo for the opportunity to appear before you today. My connection to the stadium is both professional and deeply personal. As a young athlete, I played in a Pop Warner championship game there. I still remember walking out of the tunnel, looking up, and feeling like I had stepped into the biggest stage in the world. Like many families across Hawaii, my memories of the stadium go well beyond just one sport or one event. I remember standing along railings, hoping for an autograph from the San Diego Padres. I remember picking the colored dots on the Jumbotron, hoping it would land on our section. I remember the sold-out University of Hawaii football games during the Colt Brennan era, when the crowd was so loud that the entire stadium was shaking. I also remember the Pro Bowls that I attended, the monster truck races, the motocross events, graduations, and community gatherings, where thousands of people came together. And no matter what the event, you always ran into somebody who you hadn't seen in years. Over the years, I've also had the privilege of watching our high school teams compete there as an athletic director, knowing that for many of those students, stepping onto that field was a moment they will remember for the rest of their lives. The stadium has always been more than a concrete and steel to me. It has been a gathering place for our community and a place where memories are made. If confirmed, my goal is, as a member of the Stadium Authority Board, is simple: to help ensure we build a first-class stadium and entertainment district that honors those memories while creating something sustainable, accountable, and forward-thinking for the future. A place that will continue to bring the community together while supporting our state's economy and visitor industry. I want the next generation of Keiki to walk into that stadium and feel the same sense of awe, pride, and possibility that so many of us have felt over the years. Mahalo for your consideration.
Thank you. Members, any questions? Aside from the tennis court.
That's part of it. So Joel, I know how much Mauna Loa High School means to you and the good work that you've done there.
Thank you.
Will you have the time that it'll take to sit on the stadium board and really get involved? Because we don't want just a passive board member. And I know you're not a passive person, but
Yeah.
I want.
Yeah, I mean, I've been the second newest member now that Tracy's just come aboard. And since then, I mean, I feel like I'm part of a new team. That's all these people here. I'm learning what they do, how they do it, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be part of this and share what I know, help where I can, and be part of this team to really push this stadium forward and keep it on track as far as timelines and everything goes.
So are you willing to stand up and speak out when you see that things aren't going right or there's concerns and questions? Because certainly we have seen the challenges and have questioned DBED as well as the Stadium Authority as to who's in charge, who's the point person, where are we going? How are we working with the city? What's the coordination efforts?
Well, my goal is to work collaboratively because it is very complex. I mean, we have a lot of different areas, new boards that we've created to oversee different parts of it. It's a generational project. It's going to take a lot of people, a lot of expertise, and I myself working collaboratively with a team, with others, learning, understanding, all with which I'm committed to do.
Okay, thank you.
Congratulations, Joel, on being nominated. You know, Senator Kim and I know very well about your achievements at Moanalua, particularly with the facilities. I mean, your bathroom in the gym is like Four Seasons there. I mean, no other.
Go that far.
It looks like a hotel bathroom there. I mean, it's first class. Which to me is kind of a glimpse as to how you really take care of facilities. And from all the projects that we, Senator Kim and I, have given to you in terms of CIP allocations, I think you've always been on budget and on time, which is exactly what we want for the stadium. But the stadium's a little bit different than any other CIP project at Moanalua in that it's a public-private partnership, right?
Correct.
So there's Stanford Card, there's a private entity out there. You're not just dealing with a punch list from DOE. In your observations, how is that similar yet different? And what skill sets in your achievements at Moanalua do you see are helpful in this new PPP approach at the stadium?
Yeah, well, Stanford Carr has come out and said this will be probably his legacy project. I'm hoping that's true. I'm hoping that it's not just about money, it's about building something for our state, for the future, for the kids, yeah? And I hope all of us believe in that, and we're gonna do it. It is unique, because now we have small business component and the entertainment district that we're gonna push for, that's important with our communities. So you're right, it is very different. And I look forward to the challenge.
Thanks. Thank you. So of course, I have no questions for you, and I appreciated the interview that you and I had, which addressed most of the questions I think that you alluded to today, as well as others I asked. I just want you to continue doing what you're doing. I think because you live within the area, you live it, you breathe it, you're within the athletic area of the high school. I see great things to come, so thank you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you. And I'm working on the tennis courts, and I had to write a grant for the bathroom. I had to learn how to write a grant.
Good job.
Send me when they're gonna start, hopefully in April.
Make him in charge of the bathrooms at the stadium.
And the airport.
Okay, next up, GM 619, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority, Gubernatorial Claire Tamamoto for a term to expire 6/30/2029. First up, Mike Yadam for Stadium Authority. Stadium.
Again, thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim. With all due respect to you as elected officials, if there was a mayor of Aiea Pro City, Halawa, it would be Claire Tamamoto. You have a written testimony, but from a personal perspective, I thoroughly enjoyed serving with her. While I sat on the Stadium Authority, we need her perspective. She is the community voice for us in stadium matters. We greatly appreciate her. Claire is not afraid of nearly anybody, but certainly not afraid to tell even my large 6'5" self where to stick it if I'm not representing and doing right by the Aiea Halawa. Neither are you, Senator Kim. You were not afraid to tell me either. But thank you for considering her. We absolutely need her on the board and really are grateful for her service. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Next up, Samantha Spain, testifying for Los Stadium.
Hello, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator. Samantha Spain, Stadium Authority. I stand on my written testimony in support of Claire. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioka for Business of Economic and Development. I just wanted to see, because you walk out and your boss called, you want to say something for Joel as well?
Thank you for the reminder, but I was. Joel is very strong support, and the same thing. I have not worked with him that much, but I know that he's a great asset to the team. As far as Claire is concerned, I have experience, Claire, and
That's what he keeps telling me.
But she is truly the voice of the Stadium Authority and very well respected at the Stadium Authority, but not only there, but throughout the community and through the many organizations that go through the board with concerts and everything else. She's very, very well respected. So again, she'll be a great pillar and a great leader on the board. Thank you very much for her consideration and strong support.
Thank you, Director. Next up, Karen Higa, Hawai'i Community Association and support, Keolani Lam, Ali Hawaii Hawaiian Civic Club, also in support, Alden Au in support, and Aaron Ling Johansson, also in support. Anyone else wishing to testify on the individual's behalf? Seeing none, Claire, if you would please come and say a few words, because I got to experience you yesterday too. Wow, amazing. It took me forever to read all your community contributions
Now
and
you know what I have to
service.
put up with. No.
Good job.
You got out of our district. It's okay, but I still work out there.
Yeah, I know. I don't have any prepared statements, Chair and Vice Chair and Senator Kim. It was very nice to meet you yesterday, and thank you for the opportunity. I've had opportunities to work with Senator Wakai and Senator Kim. I am an older member of the Stadium Authority. And, you know, I was just sitting here listening to the agribusiness thing, and I said, you know what, we should have in the district, in the stadium, ongoing maybe state display of the different types of businesses or things we want to feature of the state, so it would attract even the local people to come inside. Because, you know, it's great, it's important to have all those outside venues, entities to come in and to work, but you also have to have the stadium operational and bringing in revenue year-round. And I think, you know, it cannot only be the football games, and it cannot only be the monster car trucks, I said it. So I think that might be a good thing. You know, we could have a rotating display of state things where people want to find out, tourists want to come and find out what Hawaii is doing in agribusiness, you know, kind of thing. And might want to stay and then go experience some of those things, go down and take advantage of the things that happen at Pearl Harbor. So I think these are all things to help sustain. We've got to sustain that stadium and keep it going and have it pay for itself. Thank you.
Members, any questions? Senator Kim.
Claire, thank you.
Hi.
I certainly appreciate your service, and I know over the years, the kind of community advocate you have been, and I think because of your efforts, there's a community member on the stadium, which is something I think years and years ago that you folks advocated for, the community advocated for. And if anybody's going to stand up and speak out for the community, it will be you. And so I know that you ask the hard questions, and you'll be holding the administrators accountable as you move forward. So with that, I feel really good about you. So I don't really have a question, but thank you again for your advocacy.
Thank you. Senator Wakai.
You know, Claire, I've gone to Stadium Authority board meetings for years. And of all the board members, you are the most engaged member on that board, in a good way, because you ask the questions, and you very well represent the community. Because when Aaron Johansson and I put yourself in the position that Lloyd has in there, it was meant for someone exactly like you, who looked after the interests of the people of Aiea, or in Lloyd's case, the people of Foster Village. But, you know, one of the issues that continues to be bandied about here is about amount of housing that's going to be put onto that property. Right now, it's a minimum of Stanford says he's going to put 4,500 units on there. And you look at where Ward area is. Ward area is about 70 acres. They have 12 towers. That represents, when it's fully built out, I think they have 14 towers and about 6,000 units there. Some people are saying, going back to Aloha Stadium, that we're going to be north of 10,000 units. So you'd have the same area as what we see in the Ward area with twice the density. Is that even reasonable for us to aspire to?
No. I think one of the whole purposes of having rail is to let people have affordable housing where they currently live. We shouldn't say, well, okay, we have to move all the affordable housing to this stadium. I mean, we were approached a long time ago when we had all those working meetings, and someone suggested we should build all the affordable housing for the whole state right there on the stadium lot, and it would solve all the problems. Well, no, because we have traffic, we have density. Where are the cars going to be? You know, there's residential surrounding, you have schools. When you film a sports event and you show them the buildings around there, what is that going to? That's not helping tourism at all. That's not going to bring people in. So I think we still have to keep the open view plains to the water and to the mountains. I think that's very important to attract people to come to Hawaii. And our big sporting events are what we get free advertising for. So I would prefer, and I'm pretty sure the community would prefer, not to have a total build out or a lot of build out in housing.
So you think 4,500 is a good sweet spot?
It's okay. Yes, it is. I mean, we've been informed of that amount, and I think one of the things that sometimes government forgets is that community isn't always a no, you know, but they have to be engaged and at least feel like they've had a voice. And if they've had a voice and they can say, you know, what their hesitations or their concerns are, and then they're always willing to compromise. Aya and Halawa were very laid-back people, basically, you know, kind of thing. So, I mean, but if you're going to ramrod something over on us, then we're going to get a little excited. Thank you.
So, Senator Fukuna, thank you for joining us. Do you have any questions for the appointee?
No, I think she's done a great job in her first term, and I hope that she can continue.
Thank you, Carol.
No, same here, and just wanted to say you're very consistent. You know, you asked you some of the same questions that the senators had asked. But I have one question that's been bugging on me. Do you feel that the Stadium Authority themselves get enough information, whether it becomes contracts, budgets? What's your interaction with financials that comes through there? Do you feel that you guys are part of it, or you feel that?
I think at this point in the Stadium Authority, we're so busy and focused on trying to get the stadium up and going. I think when we get to a point where it becomes more of a, where we're starting to book out and we're trying to see what kinds of activities are going to be there. And then we have the future development of the entertainment district. I think those things are going to be more, we're going to be privy to those things more, you know, kind of thing. And that's important. And if we aren't, we'll ask, right? We'll ask.
Thank you, Claire. Senator
Claire, just a follow-up. I think I agree with you. However, we're not going to get to that point if the stadium doesn't get built. And right now,
Yes.
there's a concern about the financing, about the planning, about the accountability. So at this point, I don't know that the board members have really been kept in the loop as to what's going on based on the meetings that we've had, the Ways and Means Committee have had with the administration. I mean, who's the point of the spear? Who's the one that's going to be held accountable? Or who's really bird dogging everything? We had the chair of the authority who is not on not a state employee, and has termed out, and that information and knowledge obviously goes with that person, although they're still involved, but still, it needs to have some consistency. And I think that in that area, I would hope that the board would be a little bit, or would demand a little bit more information as to what is actually going on and what are the challenges that they're
Okay,
facing.
point well taken. And I think we will ask.
Good. I know
Yes.
you will. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
Thank you.
Moving on to GM 620, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority, Gubernatorial Michael Imanaka, for a term to expire 6/30/2029. First up, Michael Yadao, Executive Director of Stadium Authority, Stadium.
Thank you so much, Chair, Vice Chair, Senators Kim, Senator Fukunaga. Thank you for this opportunity. It was an absolute privilege of mine personally to serve on the Stadium Authority with Michael Imanaka. He has an extensive financial background, and it is a big help to the Stadium Authority. The Stadium Authority is blessed to be one of the state agencies that actually generates revenue. And we generate quite a lot, given the kind of construction restraints that are currently upon us. And Michael helps us to organize that in a fashion that our members can read and understand clearly. He helps Ebru in our financial department, with those numbers and to be able to communicate them effectively to our legislative stakeholders and partners as well. We greatly appreciate him. The Stadium Authority has gone through a period of change. In the last 2.5 months, we have me as the executive director. We have a new board chair in Walter Tamas. We've done our absolute best to ensure that not only are we working with our private sector developer on the build-out, but the build-out and the signing of contracts for the entire area. And the reappointment of Michael is a big part of that moving forward. So thank you, Senator.
Thank you. Next up, Iburu Yumaz Pedro.
Aloha Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim, and Senator Fukunaga. Stadium Authority, everyone must Peter, and I stand my testimony in support of my
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioka for Business, Economic Development, Tourism.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. Thank you very much for this opportunity. In strong support of Michael Imanaka, I think he has done an excellent job, but he comes from a long-time Kama'aina company, so understanding the intricacies of the community and how to make that adjustments to the stadium and help them in the forward direction, I think he will continue to do a great job with that. So thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Michael Iosua, testifying for Imanaka and Imanaka Asato LLC in support. Dana Harvey. Thank you. Next up, Andrew Pereira for Pacific Resource Partnership in support. Ryan Kamo for Design Partners Incorporated in support, and Serge Krivatsi in support. Anyone else wishing to testify on the individual's behalf? See none. Michael, if you would come and say a few words, please. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim, Senator Fukunaga. I don't have any specific prepared remarks, but it's been a pleasure serving on the Stadium Authority for the past 4+ years. And I look forward to continuing the momentum and continuing to support the initiatives we've been working on to see this project through, at least through this first phase. But with that, I'm open to questions or comments you may have.
Thank you. Members, any questions for Senator Wakai?
Yeah, Michael, I know your background really adds a lot to this part of the stadium development with the contracts going back and forth. But it's no secret that the contracts have not been coming out as quickly as had been anticipated. Whether the press release came out, it was going to be last July, then it's October, now we're still waiting. What's been the biggest hangup for us getting the 5 contracts signed?
Yeah, from my understanding, there's specific pinch points in terms of certain provisions and clauses within those contracts that are kind of the areas of discussion between the two parties that are challenging to overcome. But we've been working on it closely with their legal counsel and of course with their team at the board and our staff as well to make sure we get those through at least in a timely manner from this point. Yeah.
Can you point to any kind of a pain point though? I mean, has it been the Stanford Carr side? Has it been the state side? Has it been the AGs? Other players that are involved? I mean, is there anybody who's like, because it just seems like this thing just drags on and on and on. And I'm trying to figure out like where is the choke point for us not getting these 5 contracts signed in an expeditious manner?
Right. So to be honest, I'm not a part of those specific discussions. They kind of do for me, a divide and conquer type of bifurcation of work. So I'm not on the legal documents per se, but I can look into it and certainly get back to you on those items.
Thank you. Senator Kim.
Can you explain when you say you're not part of the legal docs? I mean, supposedly you're the numbers person and so forth, and you have the background as far as development. So can you explain yourself further?
Yeah, my initiatives right now are more on, I would say, master planning. I think operational financial analysis is where I help on. If I need to be pulled into anything else, such as alternative financing mechanisms, that's another area I'm participating in. But as far as the negotiations and contracts, that's that responsibility has been allocated to other board members.
Okay, but you should have an understanding, right? I mean, the financial part of it is the overall, without the monies and the funding. And we all know the challenges with the amount that the legislature have appropriated for the project. And we know that Stanford has been trying to generate more funding, be it gambling, be it getting, legacy monies and so forth. So what would you say as a board member right now, as far as the financial picture of the stadium and what will possibly get built?
Yeah, I mean, we're trying to pull money from any area we can find. I think one of the initiatives I've been working on for a long time is tax increment financing, which is an alternative financing mechanism for infrastructure. I think it would be a huge uplift towards providing the infrastructure for at least that early phase of development. So a lot of my time on this board as well as other JCs has been spent on that.
And how successful are we?
Yeah, I think that remains to be seen. Right now, there's a number of bills active, both sides, related to a pursuant of CONAM for that. And there's other alternative methods to get that approved that we're also exploring. But
When you say CONAM, which one is that?
constitutional amendment.
Yeah, which
Which bill number?
No, and what actual are you asking the voters to vote on?
Well,
What did the bill ask for the voters to vote?
right. So they identify it as infrastructure housing growth bonds, which is basically an alternative name for tax increment financing, as a way to fund
Right.
development, which isn't an additional tax. It's kind of like earmarking existing taxes and taking the future tax revenue from appreciation of the land and the future buildings in that master plan.
So not directly for the actual building of the stadium, but the surrounding housing and financing the infrastructure, right? So that the stadium can be built. What happens if it
That's right.
doesn't? What happens if that doesn't work or not able to generate the funding?
Well, we're not reliant on that.
Right, well, but my question's kind of open-ended. If we don't get the funding, what's the plan? Has the board reviewed that as to what are the other options? Because there's talk about scrapping the whole thing. You know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's other considerations. Another one I'll throw out there is, which we have the ability to do already in the state of Hawaii, is community facility districts, which is effectively a special assessment on the designated land area.
Okay, anything else?
Naming rights would be one.
Okay, do you feel that the board has really been kept abreast on all facets of this? Because it seems like they have parceled it out, bifurcated things out, so the board doesn't have a clear, just talking to some of you here, don't have a clear picture of exactly what's going on.
Yeah, I would say, they do split us up into PIGs, but they are open if we do ask for that information. We do receive it.
Is there time for asking for that information? Is it on the agenda? Are you guys able to bring it up?
Yeah, absolutely. We can bring it up with our staff members, and they provided documents in the past that I wanted to review on my own.
I mean, for the rest of the board, not just for you.
Yeah.
Is there time for all of you guys to discuss some of those?
Yeah, it's pretty open.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm seeing them, Michael, thank you for wanting to serve on the board. Like you, I've asked you many questions. So I want to thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Okay, next up, GM 621, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority gubernatorial nominee Lloyd Hisaka for a term to expire 6/30/2029. First up, Michael Yadal, Stadium Authority, Stadium Executive Director.
Thank you again, Senator, Vice Chair, and members Kim and Fukunaga. Thank you for this opportunity. As you can see, the way that the Stadium Authority is constructed, and this is very reflective of our work product, in that we do our absolute best to take advantage of the individual strengths and backgrounds of our appointees and place them into positions where they can exercise those strengths. So for instance, should Tracy be confirmed, Tracy Lesser-Smith, we're looking at a sports tourism background. In Lloyd, we absolutely need his operational expertise and how he manages with the University of Hawaii, and he lends that expertise freely. He also has an extensive background with sports officiating and large sports events that helps our operations team to be able to make sure that we are catering to those types of events and working within the University of Hawaii system. Lloyd works very closely with our operations manager and director, Stephen Lee, as does Joel. While, as you saw earlier, Michael works with Ebru and we have a communications background, I'm sorry. But we want to make sure that we're taking full advantage of that, and to that extent, we fully support Lloyd and appreciate his confirmation or the potential for his confirmation to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up, Stephen Lee, testifying for Stadium Authority.
Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, Senator Kim, Senator Fukunaga. I stand on the written testimony in support.
Thank you. Next up, Director Tokioka for Business Economic Development Tourism.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair, Vice Chair, members. In strong support of Lloyd. Again, I haven't had that much of an opportunity to work with Lloyd yet, but I know of his experience and his officiating. And just doing that, being an official would be a great addition to the board. Although this board is very cohesive, they're going to come into a strong area of development, and that may cause the skills that he has to help navigate them through that. So thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you. Next up, Cal Evans, Hawaii Sports Officials Hall of Fame in support. Nelson, also in support. 17 people in support of the individual. Anyone else wishing to testify on the individual's behalf? Seeing none, Lloyd, if you would please join us and say a few words. Thank you for being here.
Excuse me.
Thank you.
Some of us are, we're young at heart.
Good afternoon, Senator Court, Vice Chair Wakai, and Senators Kim and Fukunaga. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here. And we have your resume and the questions that we sent you. I really appreciate you're so calm, cool, and you just kind of like blend in with everybody. So I think you bring this huge diversity to the board, which I really like. And being an official is like this over the top. So I know Senator Kim is like piercing on the side. I mean, I know she has a question. So I'll just turn it over to Senator Kim.
She has ESP. Lloyd, the fact that you live in Foster Village, you still live there, right?
Yes,
Foster
I do.
Village. What do you feel and the surrounding residents feel about the plans for the stadium? I know there's mixed reactions to it and the density that might be there. So how do they feel?
You know, I hear mixed reactions from my neighbors, but as I talk to them, I try to explain to them that this particular project is for the overall good, but one of the difficult things is convincing people that are opposed to the increase in people living in the area, and they're concerned about, you know, the obvious things, the crime, the other issues. But I think the majority of the people are, you know, for the project.
I think the fact that yourself as well as Claire, being residents surrounding the stadium, certainly is going to be the voice, I hope, that you folks are going to be asking or hopefully getting stronger than just asking, that the community be taken into consideration and that there'll be a lot of mitigation as far as this project moves forward and as far as the traffic pattern and all of the activity that'll go on and impact the current residents, that you folks will be the voice for that.
As a retiree, personally, I try to stay out of the traffic. I don't leave the house, when the traffic is at its peak. But for 40 years, I worked at the University of Hawaii, and I needed to be there by a certain time, and I got into that traffic, and I know what it's like. But yeah, all those things, the traffic, the density, housing density, and the, the reaction that the people of Foster Village have about increasing the numbers of people in that area is a concern.
How has it been since the rail stop has been in operation at the stadium? Have the community felt any impact on that? Probably a positive impact.
I think it's had a positive impact.
So that might help, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Senator Mokai.
Lloyd, Mikey Dow expanded on your past background and your operational acumen from your UH athletics days, but your biggest contribution to this board is about the community sentiment towards the stadium, and you pointed out to some, as you talked to your neighbors, of some resistance to it, and you pointed out crime and then traffic, but can you be more specific? Like, people think that there's going to be more robberies in Foster Village, longer rides into town because of the stadium?
I don't know what each individual is thinking, but I know that people that are opposed to it, always bring up the issue of increased crime, increased traffic, but without any specifics on that.
Talk to any of your neighbors about a casino there?
I have not yet, but I will.
Thanks, I'd be interested to hear about that.
Thank you, and of course, because I'll get you home before the traffic, before 3:00. So, no, Joe, thank you. I think I asked you some of the questions of the surrounding and the traffic flow and stuff, but, I'm thinking at 50,000 prior, then we jumping down to 31,000, probably less, but I think the rail is a complement to that area as well. And thank you for wanting to serve. Without any further questions, we're gonna go straight into decision-making. So thank you.
Thank you.
By the way, happy Girls' Day. We're gonna confirm only the girls today, and the men come back on May 5th. No. May 5th, I'll see you guys later. Okay, first up, GM 606, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Board of Directors for the Agribusiness Development Corporation gubernatorial nominee David Hinazumi for a term to expire June 30, 2028. Recommendation is advise and consent. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair Wakai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, GM 607, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Board of Directors of the Agribusiness Development Corporation gubernatorial nominee Jason Watts for a term to expire June 30th, 2029. Recommendation, advise and consent. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair Wakai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, GM 682, submitting for consideration and confirmation for the Board of Directors of Agribusiness Development Corporation gubernatorial nominee Joshua Uehara for a term to expire 6/30/2030. Recommendation, advise and consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair Wakai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, GM 513, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority gubernatorial nominee Tracy Lester Smith for a term to expire 6/30/2029. Recommendation, advise and consent. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair Wakai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim. Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is
Thank
adopted.
you. Next up, GM 618, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority gubernatorial nominee Joel Kawachi for a term to expire 6/30/2029. Recommendation, advise and consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair Wakai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Chair, Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, GM 619, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority gubernatorial nominee Clara Tamamoto for a term to expire June 30th, 2029. Recommendation, advise and consent. Any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair Wakai for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, GM 620, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority for gubernatorial nominee Michael Imanaka for a term to expire 6/30/2029. Recommendation, advise and consent. Any discussion, members? Seeing none, Vice Chair will call for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim. Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you. Next up, GM 621, submitting for consideration and confirmation to the Stadium Authority gubernatorial nominee Lloyd Hisaka for a term to expire June 30, 2029. Recommendation, advise and consent. Members, any discussion? Seeing none, Vice Chair will call for the vote. Chair goes aye.
I vote yes. Senator Fukunaga.
Aye.
Senator Kim.
Aye.
Senator Favela is excused. Chair, your recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members, and thank you all of you who wanting to serve here. Happy Girls' Day to all of you. See you guys next time. Thank you. And with that, we are adjourned.